He divorced her because he never wanted children. But tonight, he's staring at a newborn with his eyes. Grant Mercer storms into the house, fury sharp on his tongue, ready to end years of silence with cold words. But the sound that stops him isn't Elena's voice, it's a baby's cry, soft but impossible to ignore. Elena turns, pale and still, a tiny bundle in her arms, a faded gray blanket, a face too familiar. Grant freezes. The empire he built, the rules he made, the life he controlled, all collapse in one breath. He takes a step back, afraid of his own reflection in that child. Elena says nothing. She doesn't need to. Grant realizes power can build everything except this moment. For the first time, the man who never wanted a child is staring at his own. Would you forgive him, or walk away again? Stay with this story to find out what she chooses, and what it costs them both. That night followed him home like a shadow. Sleep never came. Only the echo of a baby's cry and the image of Elena's eyes refusing to break. By morning, Manhattan hides behind gray rain. Grant sits alone in his 42nd floor office, glass walls reflecting a man who owns everything and feels nothing. The city hums below, but inside the room, time barely moves. A meeting runs on the screen. Executives talk about numbers, markets, projections. Grant hears words but not meaning. His name flashes on a chart. Record profits, rising stocks. Someone congratulates him. He nods, out of habit. 8 months since the divorce, and success has turned flavorless. He built his empire brick by brick, promising himself that love was a distraction, that silence was control. But now, the silence feels heavy, almost alive. He glances at the rain sliding down the glass, each drop a reminder of something missing. He tries to focus on a new acquisition. Instead, a single thought breaks through the noise. Her name, Elena Vale. Grant straightens his tie, but the reflection stares back at him like a stranger. The empire is intact. The man inside it is not. The elevator opens with a quiet chime. David Chen, Grant's oldest friend and partner, steps in carrying 2 coffees. He looks the same, calm, certain, grounded in a way Grant never mastered. They talk about contracts, about Tokyo, about deadlines that mean everything to everyone except Grant. Then David lowers his voice. "You heard about Elena?" Grant freezes, cup halfway to his mouth. "No. Why?" David shrugs. "She had a baby a few weeks ago. Cute kid. Looks a lot like you." The words hang between them, soft but dangerous. Grant tries to laugh, but it comes out wrong. "You're kidding." David shakes his head. "Brooklyn Heights. I saw her with the baby. Same eyes, man." Grant's chest tightens. The office feels smaller, the air thinner. The sound of rain against the glass grows louder. For the first time in months, Grant's mind isn't filled with numbers. It's filled with questions. Did she move on that fast? Could it really be? The idea lodges deep, impossible to ignore. After David leaves, the silence returns, heavier than before. Grant sinks into his chair, hands over his face. Memory hits like thunder. He sees Elena standing in their kitchen, sunlight on her hair. She was smiling when she told him she wanted a family. He was holding his phone, scanning an email, and answered without looking up. Children ruin focus. He remembers her silence. Not anger, not tears, just that quiet acceptance that felt like a door closing. The flashback twists deeper. The night she left, suitcase in hand. He told himself she'd come back once she missed the comfort, the luxury, but she never did. Grant opens his eyes. The rain outside blurs the skyline until even Manhattan looks unsure of itself. He tells himself it's ridiculous. People talk, rumors spread, yet something in his chest won't let go. For 8 months, he's lived as if emotion were a flaw. Now the flaw is all he can feel. Grant stands abruptly, the chair rolling back. Papers scatter across the floor. He doesn't bother picking them up. The boardroom can wait. The numbers can wait. He grabs his coat and steps into the elevator, heart pounding louder than the cables above. On the street, the rain has turned to mist, clinging to his suit. Every light turns red, every thought turns toward Brooklyn Heights. If she really had my child. The sentence forms, unfinished, dangerous. I can't lose them both. Traffic moves, but he barely sees it. The city that once obeyed his pace now feels foreign, almost mocking. He thinks of Elena's steady eyes, of the way she never begged him to stay. He was proud of that once. Now it terrifies him. As the car crosses the bridge, the skyline fades behind him. He realizes he's never driven this way since the divorce. Grant tightens his grip on the wheel. The empire he built can crumble tonight, and he wouldn't care. For the first time, he isn't chasing a deal. He's chasing the truth. Rain follows him to Brooklyn Heights. The streets shimmer under the streetlights, quiet except for the steady hum of water against pavement. Grant slows as the familiar brownstone comes into view. Red brick, white trim, ivy curling around the iron gate. Nothing has changed. Not even the dent on the brass doorbell they once argued about fixing. He sits in the car for a long moment, the wipers beating like a second heartbeat. The windows glow warm, golden, alive. A silhouette moves inside, soft, careful. For a moment, he almost drives away. Memories rush in without mercy. Sunday mornings, her laughter through the open window, the smell of coffee, her camera clicking in the kitchen light, the ache of everything that followed. He grips the steering wheel until his knuckles pale. Did she hide him from me? The thought burns, bitter and hollow. The empire he built never frightened him. This door does. Grant steps out, rain soaking through his suit. He walks up the short path, every step echoing the life he left behind. Then he raises his hand and knocks. 3 times. Slow, deliberate. Footsteps approach from the other side, hesitant but steady. The lock clicks. The door opens. Elena Vale stands there, smaller than he remembers, thinner, her auburn hair tied back with something that looks like a pencil. Yet her posture remains the same, straight, quiet, unbreakable. They stare at each other, time suspended. 8 months vanish into silence. Her voice comes soft, calm. Grant. His throat tightens. We need to talk. She studies him, the rain dripping from his coat, the look in his eyes she used to know too well. Then, without a word, she steps aside. The house smells like her. Vanilla, coffee, a faint trace of darkroom chemicals. The living room glows with soft light. The modern furniture is gone, replaced by a blue couch and scattered baby things. Grant's chest tightens. He came ready for anger, ready for confrontation. Instead, all he feels is displacement, like stepping into someone else's life that used to be his. Elena turns to him, her voice trembling just slightly. You shouldn't be here. He swallows. Then why does it feel like I never left? The words spill before he can stop them. You had my child and didn't tell me? Elena closes her eyes briefly, steadying herself. You made it clear you never wanted one. That doesn't mean I didn't deserve to know. Her voice hardens. You wanted control, not connection. You told me children didn't fit your schedule. Grant feels his pulse spike. You don't get to make that decision for me. I made the only decision I could, she says quietly. You chose ambition. I chose survival. The silence that follows is heavy, sharp enough to cut. Rain patters softly against the windows, marking every second neither of them speaks. He takes a step closer. You thought keeping him from me was protection? I thought you'd see him as an obstacle. The truth hits harder than he expects. She's not wrong. The man he was 8 months ago might have seen it that way. Grant looks around the room. The baby books, the folded blankets, the exhaustion on her face. And for the first time, shame feels heavier than anger. A small, thin cry slices through the room. Elena's head turns instantly. Grant follows her gaze. In the corner stands a white bassinet, rocking slightly. The sound comes again. Louder, raw, alive. She moves to lift the baby, but Grant can't take his eyes off the tiny figure. the soft blue blanket, the restless hands. Then, as she turns, he sees the child's face. Everything stops. The eyes. Gray, deep, alert. His eyes. The storm inside him collapses into silence. His chest feels too small for the breath he tries to take. He steps forward, then stops, afraid to get closer, afraid of what this moment might mean. "What's his name?" Elena's voice softens. "Noah. Noah Vale." The name feels like a blade and a blessing at once. Grant's throat closes. The anger that brought him here dissolves, leaving only ache. Noah shifts in his mother's arms, small fingers curling against her sweater. Grant whispers, more to himself than her, "He looks just like me." Elena's reply is quiet but firm. "That's what scared me most." Grant's hands tremble. "Can I hold him?" Elena hesitates. Her eyes search his face, the way his voice shakes. Then slowly, she nods. He steps closer, heart hammering, and she transfers the baby into his arms. Noah is smaller than he imagined. Warm, fragile, impossibly real. The faint weight of him breaks something open inside. Noah blinks up, studying him with that same quiet focus Elena once had. Grant whispers, "How could I live without knowing this?" The baby's hand finds his finger, gripping tight. It's a reflex, but it feels like forgiveness. Elena watches, silent. Her expression softens, and for a fleeting moment the wall between them begins to crack. Grant doesn't speak again. He just holds his son, memorizing every small sound, every breath. For the first time in his life, power means nothing. And for the first time he understands what it means to have something too precious to lose. The room settles into a fragile quiet. Noah sleeps in Grant's arms, his small breath steady against the weight of the moment. Elena sits across from him, her shoulders tense, eyes watchful. She looks like someone who hasn't slept in days but refuses to collapse. Grant studies her. The shadows under her eyes, the way she holds herself like armor. He realizes this woman has carried everything alone. Every sleepless night, every small decision, every fear. He doesn't know what to say. The businessman in him wants control, solutions, a plan. But the man sitting here has no script for this. Finally, his voice breaks the silence. "You shouldn't have had to do this by yourself." Elena's eyes flick toward him. "I didn't have a choice." He nods, the truth sinking deep. He'd left her no space to depend on him. The empire he built had demanded all his loyalty, and it had cost her peace. Grant looks down at Noah's face, so calm, so unaware. For the first time in his life, he feels small. Not powerful, not successful, just human. Grant sets Noah gently back into his crib. His voice trembles, but the words are clear. "I want to be part of his life." Elena studies him, arms crossed, her tone sharp with exhaustion. "Part of his life, or just when it's convenient for you?" He meets her gaze. "I'm not that man anymore." She shakes her head. "Then prove it. If you're in, you're all in, or not at all." The words cut deep. Not cruel, but honest. He recognizes them as a line drawn not out of anger, but fear. Grant steps closer, his tone steady. "Then I'm all in." Elena doesn't smile. She simply nods, as if storing the moment away for later, when she'll decide if she can believe it. The air between them shifts, fragile but charged. For the first time since their marriage fell apart, they are not enemies or strangers. Just two broken people standing in the quiet, trying to choose what comes next. That night, Grant lies awake in his penthouse. The city hums beneath him, restless and indifferent. His phone buzzes once. A message from Elena. He's fussy again, won't sleep. Without thinking, he calls. The sound that greets him isn't her voice. It's Noah's cry. Raw, tiny, desperate. Then softly, Elena's voice hums through the line. A lullaby. Portuguese. He freezes. He knows that melody. It's the same song she used to hum when she edited photos late at night, the one his grandmother sang when he was a boy. The tears come before he can stop them. He presses the phone against his ear as if he could step through it, into that small apartment in Brooklyn where his family now breathes without him. When the baby quiets, her voice whispers, "He's asleep." Grant's reply is rough. "You remember that song?" "I never forgot," she says softly. "Some things stay." The line goes silent, but neither of them hangs up. Two voices breathing across the distance, both pretending it's enough. At dawn, Grant stands outside her door again, holding 2 coffees and a paper bag from her favorite bakery. He hesitates, then knocks. Elena opens, hair messy, eyes tired, and for the first time her lips almost curve into a smile. "You remembered my order." "Oat milk, extra shot," he says. "No sugar." They sit in the kitchen, sunlight creeping through the blinds. Noah stirs in his crib, and Elena moves automatically, her body remembering every routine. Grant watches her, quiet admiration in his eyes. "I can help," he says suddenly. She laughs, weary but kind. "Do you even know how?" "Not yet," he admits, "but I'll learn." Something softens in her expression. A flicker of trust. Small, but real. When she hands him the baby, his awkwardness makes her laugh again. A sound so familiar it feels like home. The first smile, the first lightness. It isn't forgiveness, not yet, but it's the beginning of healing. Grant kneels on the floor, sleeves rolled up, staring at a diaper like it's an unsolved equation. Elena watches, half amused, half nervous. "Left tab, then right," she instructs. "I've closed billion-dollar deals easier than this," he mutters, and she bursts out laughing. Noah wiggles and kicks as Grant fumbles, but finally, the diaper stays. Barely. "There," he says proudly. "Perfect." "It's backward," Elena points out, smiling. He laughs. An unguarded, genuine laugh that fills the room. Noah coos, as if joining in. Elena watches them both, her heart caught between disbelief and warmth. She hasn't seen Grant like this in years. Stripped of his walls, willing to look foolish for love. He picks Noah up, rocking him gently, whispering something only the baby can hear. In that moment, the billionaire disappears. What's left is a man trying to learn the shape of fatherhood, one small mistake at a time. And for the first time, Elena lets herself believe, maybe people can change. The following week, Grant sits at the long conference table surrounded by glass and noise. Charts fill the screens. The board of directors stares at him like judges waiting for a verdict. "Tokyo wants confirmation," one of them says. "You'll fly out Thursday. 2 days, maybe 3. Grant's throat tightens. Thursday. That's Noah's doctor appointment. He promised Elena he'd be there. "I'll join remotely," he says. "I can handle it from here." A pause, then a chuckle from the chairman. "You're serious? Grant, you are the deal. They want you, not your assistant." Grant glances at his phone. A photo of Noah on the lock screen, taken yesterday. Milk on his chin, wide eyes staring at the camera. He clears his throat. "We'll discuss it later." When the meeting ends, voices follow him down the hall. Talk of deadlines, contracts, reputation. He steps into the elevator, heart heavy. For the first time, his calendar feels like a cage. Tokyo means expansion. Staying means family. He's spent his life choosing what looks right on paper, but this time he isn't sure he can. Night falls hard. Elena calls, her voice shaking. "He's burning up, Grant. I don't know what to do." He doesn't think. He drives. When he arrives, Noah's cheeks are flushed, his tiny chest rising too fast. Elena's eyes are wide with panic. Grant kneels beside her, hands trembling as he takes a cool cloth to Noah's forehead. "Breathe," he whispers. "He's strong." Hours pass. The fever spikes, then slowly drops. Elena dozes off on the couch, exhaustion winning. Grant stays beside the crib, holding Noah's hand, whispering nonsense just to keep the fear away. For the first time, he prays. Not for success, not for control, but for life. At dawn, Noah stirs and sighs. The fever breaks. Relief hits so hard it feels like pain. Grant leans back, tears on his face. He looks at his son and realizes this fragile, terrifying love, is what every empire he built was missing. Later that morning, the front door bursts open. Vivian Vale stands there, hair pulled tight, eyes blazing. "You've got nerve coming back here," she snaps. "You destroyed her once. You think you get to rewrite it now?" Grant stays seated, voice low. "I'm not leaving again." Vivian crosses her arms. "You always say that. Men like you never stay. You chase the next deal, the next trophy, the next lie." He looks at her, tired but steady. "Maybe. But this time, I'm chasing something real." She hesitates. The fire in her eyes flickers just for a moment. Behind the anger, there's fear. The fear of watching her sister break again. "Elena deserves peace," she says finally. "I know," Grant answers, "and I'll earn it." Vivian studies him, searching for the arrogance that used to be there, but all she finds is sincerity. It disarms her more than any argument could. She sighs, steps aside. "Then don't make me regret letting you stay." The next day, Elena stands in the doorway, holding her camera bag. "I have a shoot this morning," she says. "Can you watch him for a few hours?" Grant blinks. "Alone?" She smiles faintly. "You'll survive." When the door closes, the apartment feels strangely quiet. Noah gurgles from his crib, kicking at a stuffed bear. Grant crouches beside him, nervous and determined. He changes a diaper without disaster, warms a bottle, reads a board book with clumsy enthusiasm. Noah laughs, a real laugh, and something inside Grant softens completely. When Elena returns, the place isn't perfect, but the baby is clean, fed, and smiling. She raises an eyebrow. "Not bad." Grant shrugs, trying to hide the pride in his chest. "He's easy company." She doesn't answer, but her eyes say enough. He finally earned her silence, not her words, and somehow that silence feels like forgiveness beginning to bloom. That night, Grant's phone buzzes on the table. Tokyo. The caller ID glows with the weight of everything he used to value. He answers. "Grant Mercer." A voice speaks fast, urgent. "The deal's falling apart. You're the only one they trust. We need you on a plane by morning." He looks toward the crib. Noah sleeps peacefully, one hand curled beside his cheek. Elena dozes on the couch, a blanket slipping from her shoulder. "Grant?" the voice presses. "You there?" He closes his eyes. The old instinct rises. The thrill of the chase, the pull of success. $40 million, a contract that would make headlines. But then Noah sighs in his sleep, soft and content. Grant opens his mouth, but no words come. He's standing between two worlds, the one that worships him and the one that needs him. "I'll call you back," he says finally, voice low. He ends the call. The silence that follows is louder than any applause he's ever earned. Grant stands by the window, the phone still in his hand. Elena watches him, her expression unreadable. The silence between them feels like glass, thin, breakable. Finally, she speaks. "If you go, don't promise to come back. Just decide who you are." He turns to her, startled. "You think leaving means I don't care?" She shakes her head. "I think leaving means you're still the man who runs when things get hard." Her voice is calm, but it lands like a blade. She isn't asking for reassurance. She's asking for truth. Grant looks at her, at the woman who's carried everything he couldn't. "I don't want to choose between you and my work." Elena folds her arms. "That's the problem. You still think love is something that fits between meetings." The words cut deep because they're real. He takes a step closer, but doesn't reach out. "I just need time," he says. She nods once. "Then take it. Just don't come back half a man." He wants to argue, but the strength in her eyes leaves him silent. He knows this isn't punishment. It's the price of truth. Tokyo is all light and motion. Grant sits at a conference table, surrounded by executives speaking a language he barely hears. His body is here. His mind is somewhere else, an apartment in Brooklyn, a woman holding a child that carries his name. Charts flicker across the screen. Applause follows every statement. His signature lands on the papers automatically, the way it always has. Yet, every pen stroke feels hollow. At night, the hotel window reflects a man he doesn't recognize. He stares at the city lights and sees Noah's face instead. The ache in his chest is constant, steady as the rain outside. Back in Brooklyn, Elena drifts between exhaustion and worry. Noah cries through the night, and her hands shake as she tries to soothe him. There's no one to share the fear. The world calls Grant a visionary. Elena calls him gone. And somewhere in the silence between them, the three words neither can say echo like prayer. Come back home. Grant can't sleep. The Tokyo skyline glows beyond the window, but all he sees is Elena's tired eyes. He picks up his phone and scrolls through contacts until he finds one. An old friend, a nurse now working as a doula. I need someone to help her, he says quietly. She won't ask, but she needs rest. He doesn't sign his name. He doesn't tell Elena. He just arranges everything, pays the fee, and ends the call. 2 days later, a soft knock sounds at Elena's door. A kind-faced woman offers gentle hands, meals, and company. When Elena asks who sent her, the woman only says, "A friend who cares." That night, for the first time in weeks, Elena sleeps. In Tokyo, Grant sits in silence watching the message come through. Thank you, whoever you are. He smiles faintly. Love doesn't need to be loud to be real. Sometimes it only needs to show up quietly, without credit, without applause. Morning sunlight spills across the hotel desk. Grant stares at the final contract. The Tokyo deal worth $40 million. His name waits on the last page. He signs halfway, then stops. His hand shakes. The pen falls. He hears Elena's voice in his mind. If you go, don't promise to come back. Just decide who you are. For the first time, he knows the answer. He stands, picks up his phone, and dials his assistant. Cancel the meeting. I'm done chasing the wrong dreams. The assistant protests, confused. Grant's voice is calm. Tell them Mercer Industries will move forward without me. He packs nothing but his passport. At the airport, he buys the first ticket home. As the plane lifts off, he exhales for the first time in months. The skyline fades, and with it, the weight of everything he thought mattered. Grant Mercer is no longer running toward success. He's running toward his life. The doorbell rings just after dusk. Elena opens it, and there he is, soaked, exhausted, eyes rimmed red from lack of sleep. For a heartbeat, neither of them speaks. Then Noah's laugh breaks the silence from the next room. Grant steps forward, voice rough. I'm home. Elena's hands tremble. You came back. He nods. For good. She covers her mouth as tears spill over. Noah toddles toward the doorway, calling out a small sound that could almost be da. Grant kneels, arms open, and Noah runs straight into them. The sound that escapes Grant's chest isn't a word. It's relief, raw and human. Elena watches, tears falling freely. For the first time, she believes he means it. He didn't win a deal. He won his life back. In the quiet after, he looks up at her and whispers, "Can we start again?" Elena wipes her face and nods. This time, we start as 3. The night grows still after Noah falls asleep. Elena stands by the window, her voice barely a whisper. You want to know why I didn't tell you? Grant looks up, heart already braced for pain. I didn't tell you because you once said, having a child would be a mistake. The words hit harder than he expects. His chest tightens. He remembers that moment, the cold tone in his voice, the way she froze but didn't argue. He swallows. I said that when I was someone else. Elena turns, eyes wet but steady. It doesn't matter who you were. The moment stuck. I carried it through every sleepless night, every doctor visit. You weren't there, but your words were. Grant steps closer, his voice breaking. You were right to protect him from me. I wasn't ready to love anyone but myself. For a long moment, silence fills the space between them. Heavy, human, healing. He reaches out, not to erase the past, but to acknowledge it. I can't change what I said, but I can spend the rest of my life proving I was wrong. and for the first time, she lets him hold her again. A week later, Grant sits across from two investors in a Manhattan restaurant. They offer smiles, handshakes, and a number that could change his life again. Full acquisition, one says. 300 million. You'll travel, lead expansions. Tokyo, London, Dubai. 60% of your time abroad. The pen rests on the table. He looks at it, then at the skyline through the window. He can almost see Brooklyn from here. He hears Noah's laugh in his mind, soft and pure. He sees Elena in the kitchen, flour on her hands, peace on her face. "I appreciate the offer," he says quietly, "but I've already found what's worth more than that." The investors blink, thinking he's joking. He isn't. He leaves before dessert arrives. Outside, the wind cuts cold through his coat, but he smiles anyway. Grant Mercer once measured life by deals and zeros. Tonight, he measures it by what he's willing to walk away from. 2 years later, the world looks smaller and softer. The Mercer name still means success, but now it's attached to something steadier: time, love, family. Grant kneels in the backyard, helping Noah build a crooked tower of blocks. Each time it falls, the boy laughs, and Grant laughs with him. Elena sits nearby, camera in hand, capturing the ordinary miracle of it all. She clicks once, catching Grant's smile, the real one, the one no magazine ever published. They're not the same people who signed those divorce papers. They've rebuilt from the quiet, brick by brick. Later, as the sun dips low, Grant pulls Elena close. "You're still my best deal," he murmurs. She laughs softly. "And the only one you can't renegotiate." They watch Noah chase fireflies in the fading light. No headlines, no applause, just the kind of wealth that doesn't fade. Months later, Grant sits under bright lights at a business conference. A journalist leans forward. "You walked away from the Tokyo deal, from hundreds of millions. Do you regret it?" Grant smiles, calm and grounded. "No. Maybe success isn't about what we build, but who we come home to." The audience quiets. Cameras flash, but he doesn't flinch. He continues. "I spent years chasing more. More money, more control, more recognition. But the only thing that ever made me feel whole was less. Less distance, less noise, just presence." Afterward, the interview goes viral. Headlines call him the CEO who chose family over fortune. But to him, it's not a story. It's a reminder. Back home that evening, Elena teases him. "You broke the internet again." He laughs. "Good. Maybe it's time people remembered what really matters." The day ends in gold. Elena stands on the balcony, camera resting on the rail. Grant joins her, Noah asleep inside. "He used to measure life in numbers," she says softly. "Now he measures it in moments." He slips an arm around her shoulders, eyes on the horizon. "Some deals are worth more than money." She smiles. "And some are only worth it if you come home." The sun sinks, painting the sky in quiet colors. The city hums below, indifferent, but their small world feels infinite. Grant presses a kiss to her hair. Sometimes, the richest man is the one who learns to love again. They stand together until the light fades, holding everything that truly matters. What would you choose? Success or the people you love? Tell us below.